Hey everybody, how's everyone doing on Facebook? My name is Aubrey Loots and I'm so excited to be here with you today. Coming to you live from the Wella studio in Los Angeles, and we are doing blonde. We're going blonde today. Thank you so much for joining us, and this is my beautiful model, Veronica. Say hi, Veronica. Veronica's actually from Italy originally, and she's an actress here in Los Angeles, and she was ready to go blonde. So this was a perfect opportunity to get her 4 levels or plus. We're going for about a level 9 to 10, and our starting level was a level 5. So we're excited to show you our process. And what's going to make this really exciting for you guys is for you to ask as many questions as possible. I've got Rochelle off camera from Wella. She's going to be helping and fielding me the questions that you guys have. And speaking of questions, Rochelle, I'm very excited to say that we've got some great giveaways today. We've got not only Wellaplex, but we've also got Fusionplex. And as I work today, I'll be telling you guys a little bit more about that. So right now, we've done our first application. We've been working for a couple of hours. As we all know, low and slow is the way to go, right? When we take somebody from a completely darker into a blonde category. So we've been working on Veronica since this morning, taking it low and slow, and I'm now actually going in on and doing my root application. And then I will be going through, and also, this is exactly how I work in the salon, guys. I'm behind the chair every week. Even though I travel a lot, I'm still behind the chair, and this is exactly how I would approach it. And we did our first application mid-shaft to ends, and now I'm going in and doing my root application. And after that, I'll be going in again and doing my mid-shaft to ends, just kind of hitting those mid-shaft areas. As we all know, that's where the hair is the densest, right? That's where it holds on to that underlying pigment that we have to get through. So I'll be turning Veronica around in a second and showing you guys what we have. And we'll keep going from there.
Aubrey, you're getting a lot of engagement right out of the gates.
Oh, great.
Folks are saying hello from Mexico and hello from all over, and they're wanting to know what lightener you're using and what formula and what volume developer.
Perfect. So I am using right now, I'm using Wella Blondo Multi-Purpose Powder. And I'm using 20 volume, so 6% developer on my roots. And that's actually what we started with as well, from the mid-shaft to the ends. So multi-purpose Blondo and 20 volume is what we started with, and now I'm doing the exact same formula on the roots. So as I said, slow, nice and slow, low and slow, right? We want to keep the integrity of the hair. Of course, we have Wellaplex into our formula as well. I'll be giving you guys the mixing ratios and how to use Wellaplex and a little bit more about Wellaplex, which I'm so excited about. I've been using it for a few months now. My clients love it. Myself behind the chair as a hairstylist, I've been getting fantastic results with it. And I think the biggest thing for our clients is just immediately feeling, after a blonding service or a double process, really feeling the difference in the quality of their hair. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Aubrey, you have a question here from Lexi. She's wanting to know, how easy is it to lift from the copper color? So can you pause a moment and tell us a little bit about your first application and where you started from?
Absolutely. So I started in the back. You know, that copper, that's usually at around a level 6, right, is our underlying pigment. So that's where we have the hardest. That's kind of the hardest wall to crack through. So great question, Lexi. So what I did, I started in the back, which is what I choose to do. This is where the hair is the most dense and also where the underlying pigment seems to hold on the tightest. So I start in the back section by section, and I do about a quarter to a half an inch section as I move up from the head. As we get forward, the reason I start in the back, because as we move forward, on anybody, even people with thick hair, they have a lot less density in the front than what they actually do in the back. So, you know, again, low and slow. I'm doing my root application now, and as soon as I'm done with my root application, I'm going to go back all the way to where I started and reapply my mid mid-shaft to ends. And this time I'm going to actually up my developer to 30 volume. So Lexi, hopefully that helps you. We start off with 20, and then right here, where that copper loves to hold on, we'll be going in with our 30 volume and our Wellaplex and our Blondeau multi-purpose powder. Thank you for the question. So we're just getting up to the front.
Aubrey, you're getting a lot of hellos here from Ireland.
Ireland. Hi, Ireland.
From Spain, from Iowa and Texas, Puerto Rico.
Wow. It's the UN of blonding today. I love it.
You also have a question here. What would you do for the upkeep?
What would I do for the upkeep? Well, first and foremost, I'll be sending my client home with Fusionplex, which is a great combination with Wellaplex. It's our reparative treatment line. And my blondes usually, especially in LA, this is where I'm based, this is where I work, behind the chair. My blondes, my double processes like this, usually are coming in anywhere between 4 and 8 weeks. So I prefer not to do it sooner than 4 weeks, to be honest. Again, the integrity of the hair. Anytime I do a blonding service, especially blonding service, I've got my Wellaplex in there. But I will definitely be sending my clients, and Veronica actually today as well, sending her home with Fusionplex. Absolutely.
We have another great question here from April. She's wanting to know, is Wellaplex similar to Olaplex?
Is Wellaplex similar to Olaplex? It is in terms of that it's a 3-step system. So we've got step number 1, which is our bond builder, which we add into our lightener. And then step number 2, no shampoo. You rinse out your color, and you go straight into adding your bond stabilizer, which is step number 2. And then we send our clients home with step number 3, which is a continuation of our treatment with our special ingredient, malic acid. And that is for the clients to take home and continue the in-salon treatment, but they continue that at home. Thank you for the question. You doing okay down there, Veronica? Yeah. You excited to be blonde? Mm-hmm. She's so excited to be blonde. And by the way, you guys, just so you know, we will be posting, I'm going to keep blonding all day today, and we will be posting the big reveal actually on the page, behindthechair.com. Hi, all you BTC fans. So we will be showing Veronica's final look, the grand finale, and we'll be posting formulas and toners, what I'll be using. All that will be available at the end of the session today. So stay tuned.
Aubrey, we have a question here from Christopher. He wants to know, when using Wellaplex, can I expect blonde to lift in the same manner and time as I'm used to?
Great question, and that is the thing I'm the most excited about. I'm sorry, what was the name of the person who asked the question? Christopher. Christopher, great question. That's the number one question everybody's asking, and I'm happy to say absolutely 100%. Whatever timing you've done before with Blondeau, Wellaplex will not affect your lifting action or your timing whatsoever. Thank you.
Aubrey, we have a great question here from Becky. She wants to know, how much Wellaplex did you add to your formula?
Becky, so the mixing ratio for an application like this, because I like to freshen up my lightener, so I do 30 grams of Blondeau multipurpose powder, which is what I'm using today. I use 1.5 parts of my developer, and I also use 6 grams of Wellaplex. So pretty straightforward mixing ratio. It's really good to measure your lightener, guys. Don't try and eyeball it. I know we all get busy in the salon, but we really want to measure it, especially when it comes to doing Wellaplex. So again, 30 grams of my Blondeau, 45 grams of my 20 volume, and then 6% of my Wellaplex. So we're coming to the front. We're almost done with our root application. And then I'll be starting in the back and going through my mid-shaft and my ends to get rid of this lovely coppery yellow undertone that we've got going on.
Aubrey, I love that you're bringing that up. You have a couple comments here. Folks are wanting to know what kind of toner you're going to be using to get rid of the warmth or to cancel the warmth to result in a nice cool blonde.
So you guys, I don't want to sound vague about this question, but when I travel around the world and I teach in every country you can imagine, and this question comes up a lot. Here's my rule about toning. I don't think about toning until I'm done with all my lightening action, right? It's a bit of a pet peeve of mine when we start mixing our lighteners. When I teach students in school or my assistants at work, the first thing I train them is do not pre-mix your toners. We have to see what the lifting action does all the way through. It may look to the eye that something's happening, and then you go and mix your toner, and when you rinse it off, we all know the color you see when the color's on and the color you see after you rinse could be completely different. So do not mix your toners until your lifting action's complete. I hope that makes sense. And again, if you guys are interested, I'm glad you're kind of seeing all of this right now. I'm glad you're kind of seeing our gold and our orange tones that we have, all the underlying pigment being exposed, because we will be posting, I promise you, every step of the toner that I'll be doing this afternoon. Great question. I know everybody's dying to know what we're going to tone with. But you'll have to wait and see.
Aubrey, you're getting more hellos from Egypt, Dominican Republic, Austin, Texas.
Hey guys. Egypt, I love it.
We have a great question here from Shannon. Do you raise the developer when using Wellaplex?
Sorry, I missed the question.
Mm-hmm. Do you need to raise your developer when using Wellaplex?
That is the second question, most asked question now that Wellaplex has been launched. Absolutely not. So as I've said, I've been playing with Wellaplex for quite a while now, quite a few months before it even hit the market. And I'm happy to say you do not have to raise your developer at all. So your timing, going back to Christopher's question earlier, your timing and your developer strength stays exactly the same. It does not interrupt your lifting action at all, which is, that has me really excited. So great question, but yeah. Your timing's the same, your developer strength is the same. It kind of would defeat the purpose if we had to up our developer, right? Because the whole idea of bond building is to keep the integrity of the hair. So I love that I don't have to up my developer and my results are still the same. Living in Los Angeles, everyone and their grandmother's blonde, right? So we do a lot of blonding here. So now I have a tool and I have a product that gives me the confidence to go in and get great results without compromising the integrity of the hair. And no matter where you go in the world, and I love that so many people from around the world are tuning in, because I just came back from Japan. I'll be going to Amsterdam this Thursday. Couldn't be two more opposite spectrums of the earth in terms of blonding and doing hair. Japan is super excited to have Wellaplex. And when I was there last week, Rochelle, we did a lot of hand painting. Hand painting is actually very new to Japan. So they're still doing a lot of foiling work. So the fact that we now have a tool, Wellaplex, that we can put into our hand painting formulas, they're super excited about that as well. And then, of course, going to Amsterdam this weekend, that'll be a whole different ballgame. Much easier to lighten people in that part of the world because they kind of have a nice light starting level already. So yeah, wherever I travel in the world, it's really interesting because we get such a variation of blondes. It's kind of fun, but you have to approach each country or each culture a little differently.
Aubrey, we have a question here from Shane. He's wanting to know, how long should Blondor sit for something like this? Are you going to use heat or no heat, and a processing cap or not?
Great question, Shane. Thank you. I don't put heat on my lighteners, and we will leave it on for about 55 minutes. I like checking it every, let's say, 15 to 20 minutes, just kind of, let the hair inform me, see how it's processing. And it's quite appropriate to rinse and reapply. Don't stick them under the heat and blow up that cuticle. You'll be defeating the purpose of what we're doing here today and the integrity of the hair. So I prefer no heat. Thank you for the question, though, Shane. Let me come around this way a little bit. Almost got these roots done, and then we'll go into mid-shaft, and I'm going to start in the back again, as I said. So you can get a nice, consistent lifting action.
Aubrey, we have a question here from Katie. She wants to know, how do you talk to a brunette in consultation who wants to go blonde, especially about this process and being patient?
Katie, that is a really good question. Let's mark Katie as a really good question. They've all been amazing questions, but I think this is a big missing, you guys. Consultation is key. First of all, we've got to be clear if a blonde, like we're doing over here on Veronica's, even going to be suitable, right? So suitability is really, really key. You know, skin color, eye color. But I think the biggest missing, you guys, in a consultation is maintenance. How is she going to maintain, right? So she's going from having a natural color or even a darker brunette color, and now suddenly she's going into a blonding service, and we all know within 10 days, that blonde, you can see those roots, they shoot right back. So I think maintenance is a really important aspect of a consultation that is missing and that we have to educate the client. So we've got to let her know this is a big commitment, and if she's down with, you know, coming in regularly and taking care of her hair at home, which I think is another missing. Look, guys, anytime we go lighter, we're removing something from the hair, right? So we've got to put something back. So Wellaplex, of course, we're putting something back. Fusionplex, with that technology, we're putting something back. But we have to educate our clients, not just on the type of products they use, but the heat that they put on their hair. What styling products, what brushes are you using? All those things are really key to maintain a good blonde. And now there's toners. We have Color Fresh, which I'm really excited about, because we can actually send our clients home so that they can maintain their toning in between their appointments. So all of those things has to live in the consultation. I hope that helps you, Katie, and thank you for a great question.
So, Aubrey, we've had some folks join recently, and Kathy is wanting to know, is it your preference to start on the bottom, or is there a method to your madness?
There's always a method to my madness. I think hairdressers have lots of crazy methods. For me, I think when we start from the bottom working up, it's just cleaner as I work that way. So I'm not starting from the top and having to flip too much hair forward, if that makes sense. But again, going back, I'm not sure if you heard earlier, perhaps not, that starting in the back really helps. And you'll see I'm going to go back and do my mid-shaft to ends. But starting in the back gives me better workability, but more importantly, it actually helps me hit the areas of the head that's the most dense. So right through our occipital, parietal area, it's where the hair is the most dense, and that's going to hold on to that underlying pigment the most. So that's why I choose to start in the back. Another great question, thank you. We're almost there. Say goodbye to the last bit of your brunette, Veronica.
Aubrey, we have a question here from Allison.
Yeah.
How do you stay on schedule with the next client if you have to reapply the lightener?
Great question. So, it's going to be different for everybody. I have a couple of assistants that I work with in my salon, and they're actually trained to, I usually do the first application with my assistant, right? So we can tag team, we do it section by section to make sure it's nice and clean and even. If you're going to have two people working and applying, which I recommend because it's quicker, and we are working with lightener, you've got to be consistent with your application. Then I have my assistant do the second application. So yes, it does take time. So you've kind of got to, in your schedule, I know we're all super busy and clients want to get in and out, but you kind of want to really, plan ahead. So when I do a consultation, if Veronica was coming in for a consultation, I would absolutely not only talk to her about the maintenance and what's needed there, I would also let her know that the actual appointment is going to take, a couple of hours. So make sure you've got nothing planned that day. But as far as the salon schedule, help is the way I do it. I'm fortunate to have assistants that help me. So, that's the best way, and that's what works with my schedule.
Aubrey, we have a question here from Stephanie. How would you do this application if the client had a lot of gray at the root area? Would you still apply in the same way to the root?
Absolutely. If she had gray in the root area in between, now again, everything's situational, right, guys? So when you're asking these questions, I would have to see the client perhaps, we would discuss it. If somebody has gray, do they have 50% of gray and 50 natural? So it depends on the percentage of gray. How much, is this old color that they've had, or is it just a root touch-up? But I would approach, if somebody had natural hair or an old color, I would approach this definitely the same way. Again, it does depend on the percentage of hair, but even 50, 75% gray versus natural, I would still approach this in the same way. Thank you. And I'm just finishing this root color. And something that gets me really excited when you mix just the right amount of color to finish the last piece of hair. Don't you love that? Don't you hate it when you get to the last section and you've got to run to the kitchen and mix more color? So that was perfect, perfect mixture.
Aubrey, we have some folks. We have some folks who have just joined us and are wanting to know what your first formula was for the mid-lengths and your formula for the regrowth.
So those of you who are just joining us, I'm going to recap, and actually I can start working and go to my next formula. Rochelle, can we have our 30, please? And I'll put that down there. Actually, I have it right here, so I'm going to mix it so I can show you guys how we add in the Wellaplex. So my original formula, for those of you just joining us, Wella Multi-Purpose Blondor, that's what I'm using right now. And I'm using 30 grams. And I'm using 20 volume was on my first mid-shaft to ends, and then 20 volume also on my roots that I just finished. So right now I'm doing 30 grams again, but this time I'm upping my developer to 30 volume. And the reason I'm doing that is because we've got a lot of gold lagging through at our level 7-ish going into our 8 that I've got to get through. And I'm using 1 to 1.5. So 1.5 of my 30 volume developer. And then once I've got that in, I'm going to add 6 grams. So we have 75 grams total. And then I'm going to mix 6 grams of my Wellaplex step number 1, which is our bond builder. And it comes in this cute little... By the way, again, just reminding those of you who just joined, we've got some great giveaways today. Wellaplex kits with Fusionplex kit as well. And so the more questions, the better, right? So I'm going to measure out 6 grams of my Wellaplex, 5.5. Give it another little drop. There we go. Beautiful, 6 grams exactly. So I'm just going to mix that all together. People ask, do you mix your lightener or your powder and then your developer? How do you mix it? I personally, what works well for me is my lightener, then my developer, and then I add my Wellaplex right inside as well.
Aubrey, we have quite a few questions for you here.
Okay, keep them coming, guys.
Let's go. We are wanting to know if you have a client that has gray hair in the front, would you still start in the back?
If she had gray hair in the front, would I start in the back? Absolutely.
Okay.
Because my gray hair would be easier to get through with lightener than pigmented hair, right? So because we've got to get through a lot of the underlying pigment. So great question, but in the back, absolutely.
Do you like to dilute your lightener with anything like a shampoo or just a lower volume developer, or do you add more developer?
I'd rather use more developer, to be honest. Definitely not shampoo. Anytime you get into shampoos or conditioners to alternate your lightener, you're kind of compromising your results. So I would much rather go with a lower developer or just, double up on my developer. Yeah. Okay, Veronica, put your head forward for me.
Ginny is wondering, do your assistants hold a cosmetology license as well?
Absolutely. So anytime anyone, at least here in the US, touches hair, works in the salon, they have to have a cosmetology license, unless they're in the apprenticeship program. But yes, all my assistants are licensed. And then they go through another 2-year training program with myself. Yep. Thank you.
Lynn is wondering, do you still like the gray-silver metallic color fashion, or are you tired of it?
Great question. I'm actually not tired of it, to be honest with you. And just coming back from Japan, I saw a lot of that. The Japanese, it's really hard, you guys, for Japanese, you know, the hair is so thick and so coarse to bust through that dark pigment. So when they get their hair light, they tend to go for the more cooler metallic tones, which I just saw last week in Japan, and I absolutely love it. I think it's going to be around for a while, to be honest, yeah. I'm a fan.
Pixie is wondering, what's the reason behind measuring out your lightener?
Great question, Pixie. Trust me, I'm in the salon, I'm busy, you know, you got 3 to 4, 5 clients at a time. Who's got time for measuring? But I have to tell you, it really makes a difference in your end result. And it also prevents swelling. If you're eyeballing it and you see your bowl of lightener bubbling over, it's really because you didn't mix a perfect ratio. So, yeah, great question.
We have a question here from Nicole. Was her hair lightened before? So maybe we should pop up her before picture. Can we get Veronica's before picture up on the screen?
She has a great before picture. Can we pop that on the screen and then answer the question? There we go. So no. Few around the front maybe, you know, little sun kiss, natural from the sun, but definitely she's level 5. That was our starting point. Is it with the what? I'm sorry? Oh yeah, sorry. I've got a whole team here keeping me on track. You know, hairdressers, we love to talk, right? And time is money. So we've been we started at 10 o'clock this morning. So it's been a process. What's the saying? Low and slow. Low developer and slow. That gets us good results. But thanks for the question.
Aubrey actually started her hair at 10 a.m. this morning. Aubrey, do you want to show the first photo that we took during the first process?
Oh, yeah. Can we pull that up? There we go. Look at that. Look at that beautiful application, even if I say so myself. That's not always how it looks in the salon when we've got 3 clients going, I'll be honest. But yeah, that's how we started at 10 o'clock. Really slow. And actually, this is perfect timing because we're in the back now, and this is where we started, right? So off the scalp, about an inch, wherever her natural, because she had existing color. So wherever her natural was, we stayed just behind that, and we did the mid-shaft to the ends with blonde or multi-purpose powder, a Wellaplex, of course, and 20 volume. And we just worked through meticulously, as you saw in the picture. For those of you who may ask, you know, why do you use cotton? I'm a fan of using the cotton in between because it does prevent any bleeding onto the root area when we're not ready for that root area, right? Because we all know as soon as the lightener touches that root area, it's going to lift pretty quickly.
So, Aubrey, you just shared that you started at 10 a.m. this morning, and for our international folks, they're wondering, what time is it here now? It is 2:30 p.m.
Thank you.
And we did have an hour lunch, so there was a little break in there.
So there was a little break. So all of you watching, I know I've got some people in South Africa. Hi, South Africa. That's where I'm from originally, actually. That's the accent. This is not an LA accent. I know everybody stayed up late down there to watch this as well. So thank you, all of you around the world, around the globe, for joining us. This is so exciting.
Aubrey, we have quite a few questions here.
Yeah.
Wanting to know, does Wellaplex have a shampoo and conditioner?
Wellaplex does not have a shampoo and conditioner, but what they do have, they have a shampoo and conditioner and an amino filler and a mask called Fusionplex. So it's a phenomenal system to add onto your Wellaplex. So Wellaplex is just the step 1, 2, and 3, the treatment that we do on the hair regarding the color. And then Fusionplex, which I've become obsessed with, is something I send all my clients home because it really continues the reparative, restorative treatment that Wellaplex started for you. So think of it that way. Wellaplex kicks it off for you, protects the hair, and Fusionplex just keeps it going at home for you. Yeah.
Couple more questions here.
Sure.
Does Wellaplex dilute the formula, and do you need to bump up the developer when using Wellaplex?
I love that question so much because I love answering that question. No, you don't have to bump up your developer, and absolutely you don't have to add more time. So whatever you do, or whatever you have been doing, continue to do that. So yeah, simple question. Just keep doing the same thing. You don't have to up your developer or your timing. Your lifting action will produce great results and consistent results. You guys can see, I'm just going, we've got beautiful lightning. I mean, she's lifting. This is an Italian girl, guys, okay, level 5. We've got a lot of underlying pigment in there. and she is lifting so beautifully. I can't wait to share the end results with you guys later today. So I'm just going over, again, especially in the back here, this is why we started in the back where it's really dense, just, getting through that underlying pigment.
Aubrey, we have a question here. Folks are wondering, do you need to use color post treatment as well after your number 2?
Absolutely. I love my color post treatment. It's just like an added bonus into keeping the integrity of the hair, nice porosity equalizer. So absolutely, not a problem using that. Put your head down for me, Veronica. So again, just going through.
And Aubrey, we have some folks who are just joining us and are wanting you to take us through the process again. They're wondering where you started from and wanting to know how many steps this took and how many times you have lightened her hair and kind of where you started from.
Can we bring up the before picture? Is that possible, just to answer? Because there's a bunch of people that just joined. Thank you for joining us. So we started natural level, level 5. And there was some pre-existing color on the ends, as you guys can see. Gorgeous picture of Veronica. So that's where we started at 10 o'clock this morning, you guys, low and slow. And what I mean by that, we started on the mid-shaft to the ends, kind of what I'm doing now. So this is only my second application, so not bad. Mid-shaft to ends, and we started with 20 volume and Wellaplex and multi-blondor, multi-purpose powder. And then we went into our roots, which was also Blonder multi-purpose powder and 20 volume. And now I'm actually going through, as we all know, when we're lightening, especially from a level 5, right, and pre-existing color, all this beautiful, deep, deep gold that we want to get through. So I'm actually, all I did on my second application is up my developer to 30 volume. Yeah. And again, the back is where the hair is the thickest and the most dense, right? So it's really great to go in here and do a second application. Our roots are lifting so beautifully. I'm so excited.
Aubrey, we have a question here. Someone said, I thought that you would apply to the mid-lengths and ends first and then apply the regrowth. So can you take us through your process this morning?
Absolutely. That's actually what we did do this morning. So thank you for the question. If you just joined us, perhaps. So what we did, we started with our mid-length to ends, which is how I do it in the salon, behind the chair, all the time. And then we actually did go back and do the roots. And now that the roots are on, I'm going back with one step higher level of developer. And I'm going over again, to your point, the mid-shaft to ends again, just so we can kick off this gold, this really, really deep gold, bordering copper, as we all know, lives pretty strongly at a level 6, transitioning to a level 7. So yeah. Oh, and there we are. For the person who just asked the question, there's a lovely picture of Veronica. That's where we started. So you can see nothing on the roots, mid-shaft to ends always for this kind of technique. I love all these questions. People are really getting into it, which is the whole reason why we're here, right?
So we have a question here.
Yeah.
Will her roots lift much faster now?
It depends on what developer you use. We're using 20 volume, and just from as I'm working, what I can see, she's developing really well. But I'm not concerned that my roots are going to be lighter than my mid-shaft and ends. I think when you play with your developer strengths, guys, that's really key to getting a nice, even consistency at the end, right? And now there's nothing wrong once everything is said and done, just to spot check, go through everything, kind of fine-tooth comb, no pun intended. Make sure you go through and just look for any areas. But no, if you follow the format that I did today, your roots and your mid-shaft and ends now should be perfectly, perfectly balanced.
We have a couple inquiries here regarding your toner.
Okay.
How will you choose your toner? What's your favorite toner? What will your toner be after you complete your lightening?
Perfect. So a couple of ways to answer that question. First of all, I don't pick my toner until all my lifting action is done. That's kind of a rule that I have. When I teach around the world, when I train my assistants, it's the number one thing. I'm like, do not give me a toning formula when I still see lightener on the hair, right? Because we've got to see the way the color looks now and the way it looks when it's rinsed off is completely different. So we've really got to wait until our lifting action is 100% complete. Then, as I always say, no book is going to tell me what to use, right? Our color books are just there to guide us. What's going to tell me what to use is the actual hair. And it depends. What was your consultation for your client? You know, when I'm in South Africa, I see a lot of buttery blondes. You know, when I'm in Japan, I see a very much icy cool blondes. In Amsterdam this weekend, I'm going to see a lot more of the Nordic, the cool blondes. So it all depends what you're going for, and that you have to decide with your client. Does she want to be a little cooler? Does she want to stay warm? Because we all know our clients see color a lot more differently than what we see it, right? So we kind of got to we have to educate our clients on toners as well.
We have a question here from Douglas wanting to know, can you use Wellaplex with a hand painting lightener, such as free lights?
Absolutely. Free lights, magma, any lifting, any Wella lifting products. So that would be our Blondor, our soft cream lightener, our magma, and our free lights. Absolutely. I mostly do hand painting in the salon, and I have to say, going back to some of the questions you guys were asking, do you have to change your developer? Do you have to add more processing time? Even with hand painting, you absolutely do not with Wellaplex, and that's what I love about it. Because in the salon, we're busy, and with hand painting, you know, we've got to get that lifting action right off the bat. So I do more painting than I do foils in the salon, and yeah, no compromising whatsoever.
Aubrey, you have a question here from Shannon. If someone has black natural hair, do you think it would be possible with Blondor and Wellaplex to bring them to blonde in one day and still keep the integrity of their hair, or should you do it in multiple sessions?
I love that question, and I wasn't going to bring it up, so I'm glad you brought it up. Under promise and over deliver. Never promise a level 3 that you are going to get her Khaleesi blonde. Okay, it's just not going to happen. So I'd much rather educate my client on the process of lightening and what it does for the hair and to the hair, and have them understand that, you know what, we may have to get you to a suitable, you can go out in public, color today or a lifting action today, but you may have to come back in a few days or next week after you've done a week of some treatments. I'm not afraid to recommend that to my clients, but I do that, you guys, right at the consultation. Because if you overpromise and she's not that blonde in one day, you know what's going to happen, right? She's going to be mad at you. And it's going to maybe force you to do something you shouldn't be doing to the hair. So please underpromise and overdeliver for your clients. Because if you are able to get it lightened one day, then you're going to look like the superstar. But there is no way a level 3 to a level 10 plus in one day. It's just not. It's not something I would choose to do. Yeah.
Question here from Sharon. Did you use post-service, or will you use post-service before toning?
Absolutely. Don't be afraid of using post-service before toning. I do that on all my toning, especially when I do color correction, you guys. That's exactly what post-service is there. It's just to give you that break, even out that porosity before you go to your next step. In my opinion, I think my toners last longer and have more, you know, just you have a nice clean canvas once you use post-service. So, absolutely. Looking good.
We have a question here from Kennedy. Would you have ever chosen to lighten the hair with a heavy weave with foil?
Would I? Not necessarily for today's purpose, but have I? Absolutely, and it works beautifully. Now, it is definitely more time-consuming, right? So going back to the question that someone else had, how long would something like this take? You know, time in the salon can be a bit of an issue for all of us, running against the clock. But I've done a full, tight weave of foiling, back-to-back foiling, and then go in and do the roots. So, yes, we just, for today's purpose, we chose to go a different technique. But great question, and it works beautifully that way too. There we go. We're almost done with our mid shaft to ends. And we'll just keep checking it. Again, you guys, for those of you just joining us, we will be posting the process, the application again. We'll review the application, everything that I've talked about today with you guys on camera, the toning formula. I know everyone's itching to see the results. So am I, by the way. I've been here for a few hours now. And we'll be posting our our toning formulation, and of course, the after pictures for all of you guys to see.
Aubrey, we have a lot of questions here. What is color post treatment?
Color post treatment is a service provided by Wella. It's a product, a lot of people think of it as a conditioner. It's more a porosity equalizer. So it just brings your pH level back after you've done color or especially lightening action. It comes in a bottle, and it looks like it's white. It looks like a conditioner, and it literally evens out the porosity. So it just gives you that nice sweet spot before you go to your next step, which is one of the reasons I like it after I've done highlights or after I've done lifting action like this, to put that on before I do my toners. Yeah, thank you.
Aubrey, we have a few questions here on the technology behind Wellaplex and why it doesn't slow down your process, why you don't need to use a higher volume developer. So can you enlighten us? Tell us a little bit about the OptiPH technology behind Wellaplex.
Fantastic. I'm going to geek out a little bit and get a little sciencey, right? So the technology is based on the pH. So our lighteners live at a pH of 9, 10-ish, around there. So think of it that way. And then Wellaplex, step number 1, our bond builder, has been formulated, and this is the magic and the beauty of this product, has been formulated at a pH at that level, so 9, 10 as well. So that is the number 1 reason we don't have to change our developer or add any more time or go up in our developer, because Wellaplex is already playing on the same field as our lightening action. And then our step number 2, our bond stabilizer, brings it back to around a 4-ish, a beautiful, nice, and that's why after step number 2, I mean, clients go, when I blow dry my clients' hair after using Wellaplex without any products, they go crazy about it. So, you know, we're taking our pH high, we're playing up in the playing field with our lightener, and then we bring it back down to step number 2. And that is the main point of reference why we don't have to change our developer strength. Thank you for that question. I've been waiting for somebody to ask that.
Aubrey, we have some folks here wanting to know, do you charge more when you add Wellaplex service to your lightener or color?
Absolutely, you guys. First of all, again, consultation is key, right? So it always goes back to the consultation. So I educate my clients on what it is, especially if they're first-time blondes, what it is to go light and what the maintenance is and all of that stuff. And they kind of, to be honest with you, don't have a choice. My lightening services now come with Wellaplex. And it's something, I can guarantee my color and I can guarantee the integrity of your hair if you have this product that I'm prescribing. And it's an extra service. So you have to charge extra for it, absolutely.
We have some questions here regarding toning maintenance. Will you send your blondes home with a purple shampoo? What can you give them to help keep their tones cool while they're at home in between services?
I'm so glad you asked. So yes, it used to be purple shampoo, and now it's called Color Fresh. And what I love about Color Fresh is, first of all, my blondes in LA love it. They love that they can keep their hair, you know, once a week, do a little treatment at home if they have to, or once every 2 weeks, depends on how often they shampoo their hair. So Color Fresh is also at a pH, this is me geeking out again a little bit again, at a pH of about 6.5. And there's no mixing developers. It's a true semi out of the bottle. It smells divine. It's conditioning. So for your blondes, and we have colors like 10 Stroke 8-1 or Stroke 8-1, which is our silver category in Color Fresh. So now we have something that a client can actually do just to maintain her blonde. Because in LA, blondes cannot be blonde enough. So now we have something they can take home to assist them in keeping their hair blonde. So yeah, Color Fresh. Okay. We're almost there, guys. And we're getting some beautiful lifting action. And keep those questions coming. We've got some Wellaplex and some Fusionplex to give away.
Aubrey, Emily is wanting to know, will you apply your toner when the hair is wet? And additionally, another question here, what volume developer will you be using with your toner?
Again, thank you for the question, Emily. I will be applying it on towel-dried hair. And depending on what my results are after my lightening action will depend on the strength of my toner. And it also depends, what I am using. Am I going to be using Collagen Perfect? Am I going to be using Illumina? Or am I going to be using Innocence? So that also depends on my developer strength. Am I going for more natural beigey, which is the undertone, the brown undertone in Collagen Perfect? Am I going for a cooler rosy in our Illumina? Or am I going for more of a blue, really cool in our Innocence? So that all depends on my end result. Yeah. Coming together.
Okay. Aubrey, we have some folks who are wanting a recap of what you've done here today.
Okay.
Starting with your first application of the mid-links and ends, and then your root application, and finally your last mid-links to ends application.
Absolutely. Is it possible to get the first picture up again, our starting picture? Then I can recap you guys from there, and then we'll go into the application. So thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm going to do a nice quick recap for you. This is Veronica. She's going from level 5 to, we want to take her to a 9, 10 plus. Low and slow, as I said earlier. Started at a level 5 with pre-colored ends, as you can see from her beautiful before picture. We started on the mid-shaft and ends with Blondo multipurpose powder and 20 volume. Mid-shaft to ends, kind of what I'm doing now. This is the second application. And then we went in and did the root with Blondo multipurpose powder and 20 volume. And that's what I have on now. And that's what we started actually while you guys just tuned in. And now I'm going over my mid-shaft to ends because this is a beautiful balance of lifting the roots and the mid-shaft and ends for a great color result. Now I've upped my developer only because we're stuck in that beautiful, beautiful, intense gold area, right? So that was the step-by-step. And I'm going to finish this off. We're going to let her process. I'm going to be eyeballing it. Once I take this off, I'll be choosing my toner. So no, I'm not being evasive about my toner. My rule is do not choose your toner until this is all said and done, right? So we have a nice canvas that can inform me exactly what I want to use on my model. Yeah, so that's it. And obviously, Wellaplex has been every step of the way in every time I mix my lightener. And I'm just super, super excited. It's a good day to go blonde.
Yep. Aubrey, when can folks expect to see the final look?
By the end of today. So obviously for those of you that are international, thank you, by the way, for staying up around the world. But we will definitely be posting it for those of you around the world. You'll see it in the morning when you wake up. For America, you will see it in a couple of hours when we come back and post the formulas and everything else that I promised you we would. And again, thank you so much for joining us live from our beautiful new Wella studio here in Calabasas. My name is Aubrey Loots. You can find me on Instagram at LootyPics. And cannot wait for you guys to see the end result. Thank you, Wella, and thank you, BTC. Bye, guys. Hey, everybody. Ta-da! Here she is, a beautiful Italian level 5 to a level 10 plus. We promised you 4, we gave you 5. I'm so excited about these results. Our toner was with Color Touch, Wella Professionals Color Touch, of course, and we added more Wellaplex into our Color Touch, just for our a nice, smooth toning result. Super happy, I'm thrilled, and she looks amazing. How do you feel?
I feel great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for joining us Facebook Live, and here we go, a beautiful blonde.